Welcome to The Kingdom Sleeps, the fantasy bedtime story decided by the roll of a dice. My name's Andrew, I'll be your story master for this evening.
And my name's Tom, and tonight I'll be playing the role of Yohm.
So Tom, as we go into tonight's episode, I want to ask you, what is Yohm's experience with the guilds of the Kingdom of Sopros?
Honestly, largely negative in his eyes. Not to say they're all bad by any stretch, but in the world of Sopros, I should say, I guess, most people, when they learn a trade, learn a profession, they will end up joining one of the 5 guilds, which kind of link into most jobs, and it's a system of governance set out by the royals of the world. And there are a few people around from each of the different tribes and areas where, for whatever reason, they won't join these guilds, and Yohm is one of them for many different reasons why, and over years of interactions and having to work alongside them, not necessarily with them too much, safe to say quite a big rift has grown apart between him and them organisations, but nonetheless he has found a few friends intermittently throughout his dealings with them, and there are some good people within there, but
Ren being one of them.
And Hana being another.
Well, let's see if Yohm makes any more friends within the guild as he goes on his travels, or whether he has his pre-notions reconfirmed. We shall see. And with that, close your eyes, make yourself comfortable, and join us where the kingdom sleeps. Last we left Yohm, after a full day's travel, he and Tonto had finally reached the oasis village of Sunalager, where they hoped to seek out an old friend, Hana, for some counsel on their recent happenings. Upon their arrival, they briefly met Gonthin, the Fey merchant, who provided some affordable supplies. And then, inside the Dancing Water Tavern, they met Clausen, the rather large and laconic owner, and they also met Dobrik, a friendly desert traveller, much like Yohm, who expressed some concern throughout the locals of the Guardians Guild coming to re-fortify the oasis sometime soon in the coming days. It was in fact Dobrik also who pointed you in the direction of Hana, to the local outpost of the Healers Guild. And so, after taking a moment to refresh yourself, you finally came to meet her, and even after such a long time, though there was a small amount of scolding from Hana, you embraced each other fondly, just as old friends do. And now, you and Hana sit by the crackling of the fire, each with a warm, steaming mug of cactus tea in hand, as Tonto floats about the room around you, playing with the other pink Mamu nearby. And you take a deep sigh after having just relayed the many, many adventures of the past few days to your good friend. And she stares at you with a look of bewilderment and overwhelmment at everything that you've said. But she gives you a deep and fervent look into your eyes and says, "Well, Yohm, I have to say it's clear as day to me. You say you had dreams of the Great Eye. You journeyed into a dream realm within some sort of changed Mamu. You can speak to the Mamu. Young Tonto, did you say?
Yeah, Tonto.
That creature has a name, Yohm. You know it. You speak to it. Now, your eyes, they resemble that of the great perceiver herself. No, Yohm, I don't think you need a doctor. I don't think you are harmed in any way. I think you're blessed. This is a gift, Yohm. No, you should be going to see the Light Guard. They'll know what to do.
It's just... You've got to understand that this is, I guess, a little bit easier for you to see as real. And thank you for believing everything I've said, like, truly.
Well, you've never lied to me before, Yohm.
No, but I've definitely lied to myself before. And it feels too unreal to not be a lie again.
Well...
Like, talk of the perceiver, this is... Oh, we're going back ages.
I know you've had your opinions about the perceiver over time. You maybe had a few disagreements about that in the past, but Yohm, surely you cannot deny this.
As hard as I try, I can't, no. The evidence is plain as day. It's just... What could it mean? Why now? Why are the Mamu reacting in such a way? Why is the perceiver, if it even is that, why is she reaching out for help from someone like me? As you said, the Light Guard will know. There are many more studied folk who have spent their whole lives seeking answers to these sorts of questions. I've barely took the time to ask them.
Well, Yohm, maybe that's why it is you. You ask why you. Why not you, I say. You are a wise man of the sands, Yohm. You've always had a talent and an intuition for the world around you. Now, I don't know much about these things really, but I think, well, the Mamu, they've always seemed to be some sort of reflection of us folk, you know.
Yeah.
And I say, if the Mamu are acting in these strange ways, maybe that's something wrong with the people that we need to solve. But I tell you what, you keep listening to that Mamu there, and any others you happen to be able to communicate with, and I'm sure you'll find your answers.
Well, I'll be honest, Hana, I was kind of hoping you'd try. Tonto was pretty excited to try and talk to someone else. And honestly, the things he did out there in the desert, he called over some Mamu, just like the ones in here. And he did what you do. He invoked their powers, and I was hurting bad. Hurting real bad, but through him, the Mamu, they soothed me right and proper.
Well, I ain't surprised. Why do you think it is that I invite all of these pink Mamu to come sit with the kids? Oh, we've known for years now. You let some poorly children hang around the Mamu, the pink ones specifically, for a little bit. Oh, they'll be right as rain in a couple of days.
Yeah, always known the superstitions, but...
It's true, Yohm, it's true. I've seen it with my own eyes.
Oh, me too now. Felt it with my own bones. But nonetheless, it's just something different.
And after having mentioned Tonto's name, he bounds over in a couple of happy little hops as some of the pink mamu kind of swirl around him and fly away, and comes right up to your side.
Don't you just be careful there, Tonto. Don't keep banging around the place. It's getting late.
Oh, sorry, Yoma. I was just so excited.
I know, it's all right. Just...
They're really nice, Mamu. They love to help these children.
Hana here was just telling me the same thing. She's their friend, much like you're mine. And I think it's time you two maybe had a little chat. And if I need to be here in the middle, so be it.
Okay. Hello, Hana. And Hana looks down at Tonto and says, "Why, aren't you just the cutest little thing? Nice to meet you, Tonto." And Tonto stares up at Hana and then looks at you and says, "What did she say?"
She's very happy to meet you, Tonto.
Oh, I'm so pleased to meet her too.
Yeah, I know the feeling is mutual.
Young, this is remarkable.
It's surprising, isn't it? Tonto, forgive me, do the other Mamu in here, do they have names?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't ask them. Would you like me to?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay. And he quite happily hops away and tries to call the attention of the pink Mamu. And they come to swirl around and land right in front of his face as he starts to sort of gesticulate in a way, and you can hear him asking them their names, although you don't hear any reply from the pink Mamu, though Tonto nods his head, furrows his brow, and then happily hops back over to you and says, "They do, Yohm. This is lively, and that one? Or is it that one? I can't remember which one I just spoke to. I think it's that one. Is Lilo."
Well, Hana, suppose you should know. Your friends here are called Lively and Lilo. Couldn't tell you which one's which, I'm afraid, but seems like this isn't the only one that has a name.
Young, they talk to you like people.
Just Tonto so far, but I'd be lying if I say I didn't somehow feel a little bit like I can. Not talk to you by any stretch, but I don't know, just seeing them now, there's a different level of understanding that wasn't quite there before.
Young, this is special. I know it. I think this is only the beginning. You keep doing this, you keep practicing. Think you'll build something remarkable. And imagine the things you'll find out. They have names, Young.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've always felt like they were, creatures with character and life, but to know that they talk to each other, that they can communicate like that. What else don't we know about these creatures?
Well, if each of them has a world inside them like that serpent did, then I wish you could have seen it.
I don't know if I'm brave enough, like you, to have seen it, Yohm.
Of course you are.
No, I've been in this small village for too long. I'm just a small little healer.
But you changed so much more. Think of all the people in that time. The broken and the bloodied. Now they're fixed and repaired. Off trotting around the world thanks to you. And you fix them up, warts and all. And the warts of a person are far scarier than anything out there.
Oh, I don't know about that, Yohm, but thanks all the same. Say, Yohm, something just comes to me. I think you should go and meet someone. Someone I met quite recently. His name is Eli Shinrick.
Eli Shinrick.
Aye. He works over at the academy in Suncolt. He's a member of the Light Guard himself, but he is also a Mamu scholar. He came to me here at Sunalager. He'd been out in the desert researching these, what you call them? Dullstone spires. He'd injured himself quite rotten trying to find his way to the entrance of one before it just disappeared. I held him up good, but he's a good man. And what he don't know about the Mamu, you don't need knowing. I think you should find him. He might be able to help.
Well, I have to admire his curiosity at least. But Suncolt, you know how I feel about that place.
Well, I don't blame you.
And there's talk of tinctures now.
Oh, yeah.
Causing a fuss. What's all this about?
All the rage, I think.
How long's that been going on for? It feels like so much is changing so quickly.
Don't I know it? Don't suppose you've heard about the Guardians Guild coming in round here sometime soon?
Very briefly.
They're scared about all this Mamu business.
Yeah.
I mean, if they want to block off the Mamu from coming into the village, how am I going to get my pink Mamu to heal the children? It's nonsense. There's got to be another way, Yohm.
They are relentless in their ignorance sometimes.
Someone got to teach them, Yohm.
I guess.
She gives you a very knowing look at these words.
Oh well. Show them maybe. Don't know if they can all be the kind for teaching. Not based on our latest interaction, but I was supposed to meet up with Ren again. In Suncolt anyways.
Oh, Ren, eh?
Yeah, he's still knocking around.
Ha! Good on him.
Thank God he was there. Would have been chaos otherwise. And with that crew. He's a good hand. And at least he's gonna try and tell him the truth too. It'll mean more coming from him.
Oh, I believe he will. Tell the truth, that is. Well, let's hope it's done some good.
Aye. Anyway. It has been long. And it has been so lovely. But as you can tell, I'm in desperate need of some sleep.
Oh, I bet, Yohm. I bet.
Tonto, you want to come back with me for the night, or do you want to hang out with Lilo and Lively?
And he just stops a little dead and spins his head around in his play, and then comes bundling right up to you and says, "No, I'll stick with you, Yohm."
Yeah, that's alright then. Well, we're gonna head off back to bed now. And we're gonna get up nice and early. And we'll come see Hana again. Maybe find out a little bit more about this visit into Sunalager in a couple of days. And I think we're about to go to someplace quite special, Tonto. Someplace a little bit scary too.
Scary?
In a way.
Okay. Are we going to find the people and ask the questions?
Indeed we are. Indeed we are. And there's some people there that Hana assures me will know a lot more about you than her or I do.
Oh, I would like to know more about me.
I think we all do.
And Hana gets herself up to give you a good night embrace before you head yourself out of the Healers Guild hut and back to your dwelling for the night. Just as you head in through the door, you see that the young girl stable hand is gone, but the Ambacks are sleeping very peacefully. And as you head inside and make your way into the cot, you can very restfully lay yourself down and find that the bed is surprisingly comfortable for such a modest accommodation. Just before you close your eyes for the night, what's the last thought that's going through Yohm's head?
Is this going to be a dream or a nightmare?
As Yohm begins to close his eyes with Tonto curled up on the floor next to him, it's almost like a flash as Yohm's eyes begin to flutter and the morning sun peeking in through the window and just grazing his face with its heat as he finds that he has had a very deep and a very restful, dreamless sleep.
Oh, I needed that. Tonto? Tonto, are you awake?
And as you scan your eyes around the room, you find that Tonto is not in the room with you.
Tonto? Oh. And he hurries himself out of bed, not in a panic per se, but in a haste, like that of a new pet owner in the morning, and quickly throws back on his shawl over him, barely puts on his boots, and just pottles out the door to have a little look outside.
And as Yohm makes some haste to get himself out the door, it's not long before he is comforted by the sight of Tonto on the back of one of the houndbacks in the stable, who is just gently plodding around in a circle, much to Tonto's amusement. Very much joining in the play with Tonto. And as Tonto turns around to notice you're awake. He glides over to you with a couple of hops and skips. Tonto, you're awake. I didn't sleep. So I thought I'd come and see how the houndbacks were doing.
Of course, that's okay. Seem like they're having fun.
Yes, they are very happy. They slept well.
That's good to know. Me too. Well, feel free to play a while longer. I'll go and ready my things.
Okay.
And I slide back into the room with a nice relief and a sarcastic smile upon my face and begin getting ready properly for the day in his usual garb and packing his bag once more with all the belongings he purchased last night, feeling quite optimistic about the day, quite almost excited now where a dreamless sleep has brought this world of wonder into a little bit more perspective, and even though it is still almost too strange to see as real, it's hard for Yohm to deny it that something like this is what he's always wanted. A sight to see that no one else has. And if trudging through a city full of people is the way to go about it, then so be it.
And instilled with this positive, newfound resolution, Yohm collects his things, readies himself for the day. And now, as he exits his room, ushering Tonto to his side and makes his way just around the edge of the stables. Roll a perception check for me.
And that's a 15.
So, making your way just around the stable, heading towards Hana's hut once again, you catch in the corner of your eye, just parked on the other side of the encampment of trading caravans that was on the far side of the Dancing Water Tavern. Two large box-like buildings, perhaps? Or containers? Metallic in texture, but you can only see the corner of it as it's obscured by the caravans that lay in front of them. And they certainly weren't there last night. But they look distinctly foreign in this landscape.
Well, Yohm recognises the work of the Constructors Guild when he sees it. Happening too quickly. He turns and hurries into Hana's, share the news.
As he rushes over to the Healers Guild hut, he's met with Hana coming out of the door as he comes towards it. And Hana looks visibly distressed as she notices you approaching, and she somewhat hurriedly rushes towards you and says, "Yohm, they're already here. I thought we had a couple of days."
Me too.
Old Clausen's meeting with the guild leader now.
Have they come and spoke to you yet?
No, one of the other lads has come and let me know. I need to know what they've got to say.
Yeah, should we head on over?
Come on.
Alright, while we're going, do you know, are there any other operators from the guilds here in town? Anyone friendly to the Mamu?
Yeah, we ain't seen a guild member for, too many seasons now. they've forgotten about us long ago, to be honest. I don't know why they've even bothered come round here. It's strange that they care about us now when, not too many seasons ago, we had some bandits come and steal some stuff. No Guardian's Guild to be seen.
Someone else mentioned the same, actually. Alright, let's go. And as we start heading off, Yohm will do his signature whistle that he usually does to beckon the houndbacks over to him. He knows they're a little bit far away at the moment and whatnot, but he's just seeing where this might go and wants to be ready for a quick departure if need be.
Sure. So Yohm lets out this shrill, yet at the same time tuneful whistle that the houndbacks understand to be their call to arms, and sluggish creatures though they are, especially in the early morning, they make a dutiful leap over the side walls of this stable and come bounding towards you, and then begin to plod alongside you as you make your way towards the entrance of the Dancing Water Tavern. And as you leave them just outside the entrance and head towards the central area where you were the previous evening, you're met with a less vibrant atmosphere than you had the night previous. There seem to be only one or two people sat at the many tables around the circumference of this main area. But over to your right there is a large stone table around which sit Clausen and 3 members of what you would understand to be the Guardians Guild based on their garb. One of which clearly appears to be the leader, as they are doing the most talking. And they seem to be speaking quite passionately towards Clausen, who is sighing and shaking his head. But as you enter the room, they seem to be just wrapping up their conversation. And Clausen catches an eye towards yourself and Hana in the doorway, and after another deep sigh, pulls himself up out of his chair and walks over towards you. And addressing Hana, says, ain't nothing we can do, eh? They'll be building their bright stone wall, yes? Hana looks distressed. Says, there must be something, Clausen. We need these, Mamu. They're important to my work. There must be something. And Clausen shakes his head. I did try, yes. Can't convince him, eh? And he seems earnestly quite dishevelled.
Clausen, you don't know me very well, but if you really love this place, don't give in to them so easily.
I don't know you, eh? But you might be right. Yes.
I know there's one thing we have in common, and it's we've survived all this time without them.
That's true, yes. What can I say, eh? They say the Mamu are dangerous, yes. And we hear the stories, eh?
So what? To save this town from an attack by Mamu, they're gonna kill it off first. It's nonsense.
And as you're in the midst of your conversation, you now see a frustrated, perhaps agitated guild member, the one who was speaking so effusively before, make his way from the table at the back and come over towards your conversation to meet with the three of you. And roll me an insight check, if you would.
An unlucky 13.
As this guild member approaches, in the guardian garb, this unusually tall and strong looking fey gentleman, you can't quite gauge the emotion that's coming from them. It seems passionate. It might be condescending. It might be in earnest. All the same, he walks over, taking a deep sigh, and says, "Listen, Clausen, citizens, I can see I am causing some unrest in this village. I know you mean to prevent what it is we are doing here, but I am under strict orders, royal decree, to protect all outposts and any sort of civilization that exists in the kingdom from these newfound and numerous threats that we are seeing from the Mamu. This is a duty I take very seriously, and I'm afraid that if you attempt to prevent us, we will have no choice but to detain you."
Of course. It's the only thing you Guardians know. Protection through destruction.
So we are trying to prevent destruction. Mamu on the mainland are felling buildings, they are destroying bridges, attacking citizens in some cases. You must understand this threat, no?
It's just... that's only new. These Mamu have been here forever. There are ones here now, causing no harm, no trouble, helping people, making villages like this. It's not just this one, mark my words. There are many more than you know, dotted all across this desert. And without the Mamu, there would be nothing. The people here, they don't rely on you guilds to create civilization, no. It just exists. Because of our relationship with them. You've told me you've never suffered a wound in battle, had a healer come to your aid with the help of a Mamu. You've never found water on an expedition because one led you there. You've never found a safe spot to rest at night since one rested there before you.
You can see him squint his eyes at everything you've had to say and look you deeply in the face. Roll me a persuasion check.
Classically for Yohm, that's a 3.
I'm just gonna make a roll for the gentleman himself. And on a 3 as well. He looks you sternly in the face and says, "Listen, traveller. What was your name?"
Yohm.
Yohm, I am Yohin. And let me tell you, and he slumps into the nearest chair next to the nearest table and invites you to do the same.
He does.
Do not think that I don't understand everything that it is that you said. And if I can trust you enough to be candid, I agree. I am a Fae. I was raised in Morrowind. I am steeped in the ancient history of the healing culture that is my people, and the deep link that comes from the Mamu within it. This being said, the council have spoken, and they would need to be convinced somehow that either these Mamu are not a threat, will stop continuing to be a threat, or somehow that they can be controlled, that we can stop them from doing these things without having to block them all out.
I know not the workings of the council, so I won't pretend to have much love for the guilds either, but good people like you have the perfect position to do just that. Convince them.
I would love to, if I could. Honestly I would, but I have no substance. All I know is Brightstone keeps the Mamu away. These are the tools we have at hand. And unless there's something else,
all I know is it. They don't like it. And I don't know about you, but people don't typically start fights with me because I don't wave around a sword. You're inviting trouble. We never used to have issues with the Mamu. Not before we started blocking them out. Trying to control them, as the council will say. You're right, something needs to be done about this. I don't want innocent people getting hurt. But that is not the way.
And as you speak, you suddenly feel a hand on your shoulder, a gentle hand. That of Hana's behind you, who interjects and says, "Yohm," in a hushed tone, though still slightly audible to Yohm opposite you. Don't you think this is a good time to tell him? You can talk to these things. You can control them, couldn't you? Perhaps you could help them find a way to talk to them.
I want to help. I don't want to help them.
And you can see the furrowed brow of Yohm across the table. You wrangle these beasts, do you? I see one like a limpet at your side.
Aye, as I said, we people of the desert have been working alongside these Mamu for a long time, and some of us have learnt some tricks. Aye. And as he says that, Yohm really tries to stare into the soul of this man once more and figure out if he actually can be trusted, if the things he said about his home and his traditions and his feelings on the Mamu are sincere.
Well, after having a little more time and conversation with Yohm, I'll let you roll a second insight check.
That's an 11.
Yohm to you seems sincerely disheartened by this conversation. And you get a sense that he honestly would try if he felt he knew a way. Although, with regard to trust, you can't quite pin down where his allegiances lie.
Alright, well, I was a little unsure if I was going to tell you this, but my friend here seems to think differently, and to be honest, you probably won't believe it anyway, so what the heck. Yeah, now I can talk to Mamu, and something is happening with them, and at the same time something is happening with me. I was victim to one of these attacks you've mentioned, almost, but instead falling prey, me and a compatriot of mine were swallowed into a whole nother world, and we made it outside from the belly of a beast, and we did it in one piece largely, and we brought along a tag along, the one you see down here. Since then, I've seen things and felt things and done things which I would not have thought possible just a few days prior. And believe us or not, we are being perfectly honest when we say this is something we are going to try and investigate and find out further. But I do believe there's a connection there somewhere. And if you don't believe me now, just wait a few days and you will. Members of your guild and others saw this. They witnessed this themselves, and they are probably arriving somewhere in Suncold as we speak. News will spread. And so I don't have a choice, really, in where I go from here. But you do. And I'm hoping you make a choice to help us. And these Mamu. And not make the mistakes we've made before.
And you see Yohm take a sharp breath in, trying to consume everything that it is that you've just said. And as he exhales just as sharply, says, "Well, you are right about one thing, Yohm. I'm not sure I do believe anything you've just said. But you claim to be able to talk to this Mamu here by your side."
I do.
"And control it?"
No more than I control you.
"Could you ask it to do something?"
Of course. Tonto?
What's going on?
Oh, it's a lot. People are afraid that more Mamu are going to get sad and hurt people. So we, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot here, but we need to do this together. And we need to show them that not all Mamu are going to hurt them.
They're not. I promise.
I know that. But he can't hear you. So instead, would you please, very kindly, go and grab that there flower off that table for us and bring it over here.
Why will that help?
Because no matter how mean people seem, everyone likes flowers.
And Tonto smiles brightly at this and takes a couple of little hops and bounds, as he always does, over to the table and picks out a bright white flower. Comes back over to the table and holds his outstretched paw right in front of Yohm, who now looks dumbfounded by this seeming display of communication with this Mamu. And he looks at the flower, and he looks back at you. He looks into the eyes of Tonto, and then very gently, very carefully, takes the flower from his paw, at which point Tonto darts back to your side. My. I don't think I've ever seen such a thing.
Neither had I.
And he takes the bright flower, puts it inside his breastplate, and just gives it a small pat as he rests it there. And he looks at you and says, I have an idea, Warming Young. Perhaps it is, we could say, we are experiencing some equipment failure that may take us some days to repair. If you could travel to Suncult, to the guild, show them what you can do. And he reaches into his satchel by his side and pulls out this metallic sigil attached to a ribbon which has some very detailed inscription at the bottom, and says, take this. This is how they will know. It is a message from me, and one I condone.
Thank you.
Show them what you can do, Yohm. And perhaps you can convince them that we need not be here.
I feel that might be the only way. Must do a visit with the Light Guard. Let's see if they have some answers too.
I do wish that the council and the guild would more often speak to the Light Guard. Or at least listen to them when they do.
We'll see. Strange time. Strange voices need to be heard.
New voices, Yohm.
Yeah. Thank you. You're a good man.
You need not thank me. If anything, I should be thanking you. I was, if I'm honest, looking for an excuse.
And I'm happy to provide one. Trust yourself more. The guilds need good people. I'm sure now more than ever.
That they do, Yohm. I see you are unaffiliated.
If it weren't so obvious.
Maybe think about changing that, eh?
More pressing things that matter first.
There's only so long I think I can withhold this work before I will be reprimanded. Yeah, a few days at most. I would have to ask you to make haste.
Aye, so we shall. Has it changed much, this city?
City's always changing, Yohm. Depends the last time you were there, I suppose.
Both too long. And not soon enough.
Well, it seems like it's been a time of great change and adventure for you, Yohm. I think you'll do just fine.
I'm sure I will. It's the rest of you I'm worried about. And with that, he stands up on his feet, not being able to let himself go from trying to get one up on a guild's person. Gives a polite nod and beckons Hana to come with him on his way.
And Yohm gives you a very pronounced bow as you get up. Just before you leave, Klausen puts a hand, a very firm and large hand, on your shoulder and says, "Thank you." Yes.
No. It's for the good of this place, isn't it?
We owe you, eh?
No, just keep doing what you're doing. You owe me nothing, much like I owe you nothing. That's the reason people like you and I exist, isn't it?
And for the first time since you've known Klausen in this short time, you see the hint of a smirk peel across his face as he lets out a little grunt and a nod. Then he turns around, back into the inn. And as you make your way out of the dancing water, Hana and Tonto by your side. Hana is beside herself with gratitude and excitement. "Oh, Yohm, I know you've made the right decision."
Oh, I'm not sure yet, but we've got a path to walk down at least. That's one thing I'm good at.
It's the path you were made for. I always knew you were special. Ever since we were young. And you found the oasis, you remember?
Yeah. Back then you were the only one to believe me.
Well, everyone will believe you now, Yohm. You're gonna make big changes.
We will. This isn't just me here. It can't just be me. Sopros is far too big.
Course, Yohm. Course.
And, I'm gonna leave one of the houndbacks here. With you. Just in case. If we're not back in time, and they build the wall, you'll find everything you need on her. You can get away for a few days at least. Settle somewhere else for a little bit.
Oh, that's very kind of you, Yohm. I mean, I'll take it, but I'm not sure I'd want to leave the village. There's too many people here need me, and well, it feels like just running from the inevitable.
Oh, you're looking at it wrong, Hana. It's, you remember the old days? We never ran from our problems. We were always just finding new ones. These buildings aren't this village. You are, Klausen is. It's the people that make the place, you know that. And you've done it before, I know it's been a while. And admittedly, you never quite did it as well as me, but you can lead an expedition.
You might be right, Yohm. God, lost a bit of the nomad in me, haven't I?
Yeah. Imagine what Cramps would say if she heard you now.
God, don't.
And if I'm gonna go spend a night in the city, what's another night under the stars for you? Not that bad. N.A. Clausen. I reckon he's pretty good on the track.
Aye. He'll be good. You're right.
Just, put some feelers out, eh? Just see. People are reluctant to change, but sometimes we don't have a choice, do we?
True enough. Gotta be ready to slide with the sand, eh?
Well, goodbye again, I guess. I think this might be quicker than last time.
Quicker every time, Yohm. But I'm not so sad to see you go this time.
Thank you.
It was really, really good to see you.
Yeah. It won't be as long next time. I promise.
It better not be. And a pleasure to meet you as well, Tonto. She looks down. Tonto isn't really looking at Hana, just looking up at And Tonto, well aware that his words won't make a difference, sort of just leaps forward and grasps softly around the neck of Hana, who is at first surprised, but then very warmed by this embrace. And Tonto almost as quickly hops back over towards you. Safe travels, Yohm.
Yeah. You too. Alright then, Tonto. We're about to go see something real special.
Real special? I can't wait.
Alright then. Hop on then.
And he almost backflips onto the back of this houndback in excitement.
And you're just quite glad how infectious Tonto's enthusiasm and optimism is, because it's hard to be quite so nervous with him around. And he reassures him once more that this journey's going to be a lot quicker than the last few. Points him off in the general direction. And moseys on forward.
As the houndbacks lurch back and lunge forward into a steady gallop out into the desert landscape before you, and the glistening oasis rushes by your side as you move away from the village. Just looking over your shoulder as once to see Hana, still watching you as you go, gliding past the caravans and these huge bright stone machines that you presume the guild travelled here in. Looking back again, the village becomes small. You can still see Hana, just a dot, standing there, watching you as you go. And you look back to the horizon, upon which you can just see the pyramidal figure of the city of Suncolt that now sits but an hour away. What's going through Yohm's mind now?
Reinvigorated, slightly. He knows where he needs to go, and he knows what he wants to do. Just now time to make it happen.